Hey everyone, welcome back to Two Traveling Teachers. If you've been following our journey, you know how much we depend on our truck for all of our adventures. Well, we just made a major change by upgrading from our 2020 Ford F-150 XLT to a 2024 Ford F-350 Lariat. In this video, we'll share why we made the switch, how the two trucks compare, and the pros and cons of this upgrade. And we'll also talk about how this new truck sets us up for the future. So stick around. This one's going to be packed with towing tips and real-world insights. Initially, I wanted to build a brand new 2024 F-350 to my exact specifications. However, after a lot of avoidance from a salesperson, I was finally given this message. Looks like we could still order, but it could end up being pushed to the 2025s depending on the time frame, and they have not said when the 2025s would open. That wasn't going to work for us, so I began reaching out to salespeople from different dealerships about trucks already in stock. When I held firm to the truck specs I wanted and the price I was looking for, I was essentially ghosted by the salespeople I was working with, so I took matters into my own hands and started searching online. That's when I found a truck that checked most of the boxes at Summit Ford, about 75 miles from our home. We were able to negotiate a deal, and the rest is history. We absolutely love the truck and are excited to share why it's been such a game changer. So why didn't we just go for an F-250? Well, we considered it, but after crunching the numbers, the F-350 made more sense, and here's why. Payload capacity. The F-250 gave us more than the F-150, but not quite enough for a heavy fifth wheel plus cargo. Towing capacity. The F-350's higher rating gives us peace of mind, whether towing our 22 MLE now or a larger rig in the future. Cost difference. The jump in price between the F-250 and the F-350 was minimal compared to the benefits of added capability. Future-proofing. Instead of buying another truck in a few years, this F-350 sets us up for long-term adventures. Our 2020 F-150 was an amazing truck for towing our 22 MLE travel trailer. With its 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine and max tow package, it had a towing capacity of about 12,500 pounds, plenty for our trailer, which weighs only about 6,500 pounds fully loaded. So why did we upgrade from an F-150 to an F-350? There were a few key reasons behind this decision, and we wanted to take you through our thought process. As we traveled more, we started to notice some limitations. The F-150's payload capacity was 1,783 pounds. When we hit the Catskills, we realized we were often at or near the truck's maximum payload. Between the trailer's tongue weight, around 850 pounds, our camping gear, and ourselves, we didn't have much wiggle room. There were even times we had to leave behind some cargo just to stay within limits, which wasn't ideal. This was the big reason we decided to upgrade to a 2024 Ford F-350. Its payload capacity of over 4,000 pounds gives us a lot more flexibility. We can pack everything we need for our trips without having to make sacrifices or constantly worrying about being over capacity. And here's another exciting reason we made the switch. We're planning to upgrade to a fifth wheel travel trailer in the future. With the F-150, a fifth wheel wasn't an option due to its lower payload and towing capacities. But the F-350 is built for the job, giving us plenty of margin for even larger rigs. Making the upgrade now means we're set for wherever the road takes us next. When deciding on the F-350, we had to choose between a standard shorter bed and the long bed. We ultimately went with the 8-foot longer bed for a few key reasons. With a long bed, we don't have to worry about needing a sliding hitch when we upgrade to a fifth wheel. A short bed truck can sometimes lead to clearance issues between the trailer and the cab, especially in tight turns. With the 8-foot bed, we'll have plenty of space. We carry a lot of gear, whether it's tools, camping supplies, our paddle boards, our electric bike, The extra bed space gives us more room for storage, which is a huge plus. A longer bed truck has a longer wheelbase, which generally means a smoother and more stable ride, both when towing and when driving unloaded. The long bed version of the F-350 also comes with the larger 48-gallon factory fuel tank, giving us better range between fuel stops, which is always nice on long travel days. So between the increased payload, better stability for future towing, and the extra cargo room, the 8-foot bed just made the most sense for us. Now let's move on to some of the differences we noticed between the F-150 and the F-350 after making the switch. Let's take a closer look at how these two trucks compare. The F-150 worked well for our 22 MLE, but if we're looking ahead to towing a fifth wheel, the F-350 is a no-brainer. That extra towing capacity and payload margin give us a lot of options as we plan for the future. We got the same size cab on our upgrade, but on the F-150 it was called a Super Crew, and on the 350 it's called a Crew Cab. Now let's talk about the pros of the F-350 and why it's been such a great upgrade for us. Some of these features we expected, but others were pleasant surprises when we hooked up the trailer for the first time. Let's talk about what these numbers feel like in the real world. With the F-150, we had to be very mindful of how we packed. For example, if we wanted to carry a full tank of fresh water around 300 pounds, we'd have to make sure to leave behind other items to avoid maxing out the payload. It made some trips a little stressful. With the F-350, it's a completely different story. We've taken it on trips fully loaded with gear, bikes, firewood and all, and we're still nowhere near the limits. That peace of mind makes all the difference when you're on the road. The 6.7-liter Power-Stroke diesel engine provides incredible torque, making steep grades and headwinds a non-issue. Compared to the F-150, the difference in power and stability is night and day.
Honestly, this truck is towing really well. It will take off and do 70 if I'm not careful. I like to keep it under 65. I don't know what to say. It's just really been easy to tow. We were going through Summit County, and I didn't realize it was windy until we pulled over and got out, and I didn't even know it. It was like we weren't being buffeted. The truck definitely can handle this trailer. It's really nice. So we're enjoying towing a smaller trailer for now before we eventually upgrade to a bigger trailer.
With more than double the payload capacity of the F-150, we no longer have to stress about how much weight we're carrying. We can load up our gear, bikes, and supplies without constantly checking the CAT scales. Since we're planning to upgrade to a fifth wheel in the future, having a truck that can handle the extra weight is a big plus. This upgrade was about planning ahead, and the F-350 gives us that flexibility. This truck is clearly designed with towing in mind, and we noticed some cool features right away when we hooked up our 22 MLE for the first time.
The features on it, like when you turn your left signal, we can see right down the side of the trailer with the onboard cameras on the truck.
This is a feature we didn't have in the F-150, and it's awesome. When we activate the turn signals, cameras on the side mirrors give us a clear view of our blind spots, making lane changes so much easier. One thing we immediately notice when towing with the F-350 is how much better the visibility is thanks to these massive extendable power tow mirrors. On the F-150, we just had standard mirrors, which made it much harder to see around our trailer. Since it came with standard mirrors, we had to attach clip-on mirror extenders every time we towed, just to see around the trailer. We feel much safer towing with these mirrors. Speaking of safety, the blind spot information system is another game changer. It extends to the length of the trailer, helping us monitor traffic in adjacent lanes. This adds a whole new level of confidence when driving on the highways. As soon as we connected the trailer, the truck automatically switched into tow haul mode. In the F-150, we always had to remember to activate it manually. This was a small but very welcome change. Another cool discovery is when we plugged in the trailer and the truck prompted us to select a trailer from the onboard computer or enter in new specs. We put in the information for our 22 MLE, such as trailer length, width, height, etc. And in the future, we'll already have that information in the system, so we'll just be a couple of taps away and be ready to go. It appears the truck remembers settings for multiple trailers, which will be super useful when we eventually add a fifth wheel to the mix. One of the biggest improvements we noticed while towing is the exhaust brake. This feature helps slow the truck down by using engine braking, which reduces wear on our actual brakes. It's especially useful on long downhill grades. Before, with the F-150, we had to rely more on trailer brakes and manual downshifting. With the F-350, the exhaust brakes makes the downhill towing so much smoother and safer.
The exhaust brake, when we were coming down from the Eisenhower Tunnel, I didn't have to hit the brake once. It just held it at about 60 miles per hour.
The Lariat trim feels luxurious compared to the F-150 XLT. The seats are more comfortable, there's extra soundproofing, and the tech upgrades make long drives way more enjoyable. I want to go through some of the new features I've found on the inside of my truck. If you look at the console, you would see that you can have screens within screens. You have a huge 12-inch screen. It gives a lot of information. There's lots of features in here, most of which I have yet to figure out how to use. The front seats are heated and cooled, both front seats. They both have power controls to adjust them. They do have heated seats in the back. We have leather seats. We had cloth seats in the other truck. The steering column has power, telescoping, and tilting. There are also a pedal adjust on this truck. For your dash display, you have a lot of options. You can just have your tachometer and speedometer. You can adjust to a variety of other options, such as, a compass or off-road status, pitch and roll. You have a variety of gauges you can show. The choices are unlimited. We have upfitter switches, although I have yet to hook any of those up yet. Also, the fact that it's a diesel, if you like the sound of a growling engine, you definitely have this, which we didn't have on the F-150. Of course, no truck is perfect. Here are a few challenges we've encountered with the F-350. The F-350's size can be intimidating. Tight RV parks and crowded parking lots require extra care and sometimes a spotter. With the 8-foot bed, it's so long it's hard to fit into a regular parking spot. I typically find myself parking at the outer parts of the parking lot at shopping centers. Without a load, the heavy-duty suspension can feel a bit stiff compared to the F-150. Maintenance and fuel prices are a lot higher, and while it's efficient for towing, overall costs are higher than it would be with the F-150. So, was the upgrade worth it? Absolutely. The F-350 has given us more confidence and more flexibility, and also the ability to plan for the future as we look at fifth wheels. If you're feeling limited by your current truck's payload or towing capacity, a heavy-duty truck like the F-350 might be the solution you're looking for. Well, there you have it, and thanks for watching The Two Traveling Teachers. Let us know in the comments, what are you towing with, and are you thinking about an upgrade? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your fellow RVers. We'll see you on the road.